What's the ratio of your wholesale to retail business?
Yeah, we're about 70% of our sales come from our tasting room, and the balance come from our wholesale.
And are you distributed beyond Florida?
We are. We're in Georgia a little bit. We also, I don't know how it happened. I'd have to go back and look in my emails, but somehow I'm up in the state of Pennsylvania about 6 years ago, and we're in the state liquor stores there. But beyond that, we've intentionally decided to try and grow the brand too far.
We're seeing the exact reverse. Again, he's on the spirit side and I'm on the wine side. So I do manage, I am in Atlanta now, but I've managed New York for about the last 17 years. And honestly, my retail business in New York boomed last year because of all of this. And it is because of the big name brands, Voga, Luna de Luna, you know, staples like that.
DYNADMIC is an ad tech company that we've worked successfully with on a number of projects to utilize some really cutting-edge targeting tools to help in the activation of brands, and got high engagement.
Like Michael said, we're an ad tech company, so we specialize in placing video ads mostly, but also all sorts of different types of formats for different types of advertisers. We've had quite some experience with liquor and alcohol brands through the years that I've been on board with DYNADMIC, been with the company. We've seen some interesting things since COVID-19. I mean, just in general, I'll take the example that KERI brought up, that has been a lot of booming going on with different advertisers that want to advertise more digitally speaking. There's a huge push on social, huge push for a lot of different things on online media. There's also a lot of things that's really sad when it comes down to the restaurant businesses, especially in the markets that were more strict on COVID regulations and so forth. We've seen that there's a big recruitment problem that's been coming up that's really big and across a lot of restaurant businesses, but it's affecting a lot of different businesses. So that's a big part of the new media that we're launching now. And we're also seeing a big shift within the landscape for digital media. As you know, alcohol is 21 plus in the US, and that's something that's very important. You want to make sure that you're targeting the legal aged audience. And the issue is that there's going to be a data change where you used to leverage data segments to target people that are 21 years old and older. These data segments are going to pivot and going to change into becoming different in the way that they're being gathered by data providers. So they won't always be as accurate. So we're monitoring that very closely to try to understand, how we will adapt to the new regulations that are coming up for digital advertising, especially if you're, a big name brand like Bacardi, for example, and you want to go ahead and advertise for 21 plus, there's definitely going to be some hurdles that are going to come along the way this year, and probably more.
Interesting to just kind of hear how everyone has come through the pandemic. I will just sort of close and not monopolize the time, but what we experienced at MGP last year on the portfolio side was very similar to what you all had experienced. Q2 of last year, everything shut down, and I can't remember who was talking about it, but you all are right. I mean, consumers stopped shopping and converted to buying, right? Whatever was convenient and they're familiar, right? So the handle of Jack, or get a 750 of Jim Beam and keep on going. But it was interesting that for us, is starting with Q3, consumers really got bored, right? They got tired of sitting at home drinking the same old stuff. They started shopping again and rediscovering the craft spirits and new wines. And what we saw in our business was more than a doubling of the depletions every month. And I really do think that now that we're coming through this pandemic, and even if there's another wave, I think consumers now can kind of embrace what is happening, put on their masks and go out there and find new tastes and find new flavors. And I think what's critically important, for these emerging, for all of us, right, craft and emerging brands, is to stay focused on communicating, your point of difference with the consumer, continuing to track this. Everyone has said, liquid to lip. So, I think it's an exciting time to still be in this industry.
I'm hearing people refer to it as like we're approaching the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
Where we came through this very dark time and everyone was euphoric. And I felt that Memorial Day, just in the overall sense of activity that was happening.
I mean, things from a global perspective are opening up more and more. Clearly, there's, I'm hearing some of this on this call too. There's a lot of optimism from the last time that we were all chatting. Like Europe continues to evolve more and more. Seeing a lot more shipments that way. Asian market continues to grow too. I'm starting to see a lot of activity there, but Europe in particular, obviously the UK in particular, is kind of in the lead on the European side of things. Theoretically, everything's open in London. I didn't speak with anybody this week directly about that, but they should be wide open now on the on-trade side of things in the UK this week. So, that's a good thing. And things continue to, as I said, positive and positive momentum, around the world. There does seem to be a feel of optimism, even though people aren't quite as far along as North America is, or certainly the United States is when it comes to the vaccinations and or the declining numbers. But there's a shared sense of optimism about it all, is what I'm finding.
For the domestic producers who are thinking return to export, I know the last time we chatted about this, Stephen Gould, who's right next to you on my screen at least, was saying, I just received an email confirming a PO, so apparently we're back in export. Is that Stephen? Is that still the case? I know you're
really tough for us. We lost. We were very heavily export oriented when I built the business plan, and between the trade wars and COVID, we probably lost a third of our planned business. The relationships are still there. The PO you're talking about is a very small PO going into Taiwan, and yeah, that is still going forward. But it's not nearly what we thought we would have. We've had some bad news in the export sector as well. We just lost our placement in Norway after 3 years of working very hard to get placed in Norway because of the tariffs, and we're hoping that we can recover that. But we were only the second American single malt to ever be brought into the national monopoly there, and we were delisted without ever getting our product on the shelves. Now there is product sitting now in Norway, which I didn't realize. I thought it was coming back to us. So they're going to have with the product, but it's sitting in a bonded warehouse waiting for the duties to be removed before they can bring it in. That's a good thing. We will sell it eventually, or they will sell it eventually. But in the UK, we've been talking for a year and a half with a major importer, and they're literally sitting on their hands. Pricing's done, planning's done, waiting for the tariffs to go away. So hopefully that'll be huge. Yeah. But in Italy, for example, we were doing, six-figure business a year, and we haven't sold anything since 2018, since the tariffs hit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Greg, in terms of the tariff, I know that's been a huge complication, especially in the UK. What's the latest where things are with that?
Well, a bit of good news. I mean, originally it was supposed to go up to 50%, actually this week, and that got pushed back, to be just tabled, if you will, for continued discussion. My feeling is, I don't know what Stephen's feeling is, but my feeling is it'll be gone sometime by the fall, is my guess. By the time we roll around, once the Europeans get through their vacation season and the EU and Washington get it figured out. But the good news is that 50% tariff would have been tough for everybody. Even though, so even those of us that obviously we would have had to have taken some price increases. We've done a lot of absorption up to this point, but that would have been mission critical if that had happened.
Can I make a comment on that? So I'm on the Discus Government Affairs and sit in on the foreign policy working groups. And I've been heavily involved in this at the national level and dealing with the U.S. Trade Representative and even dealing directly with the White House. We America lost roughly 40% of our exports into Europe since 2018. Roughly 50% of our exports of whiskeys and other spirits into the UK since 2018. The UK and the EU are no longer married as they once were, as we all know. And while it looks like we're making a little bit of headway with the EU, other than just starting discussions, the UK is moving very slowly, and I don't think it has as much to do with us as to they're still figuring out which end is up themselves as an independent trading nation again. It's frustrating, it's difficult. People keep hoping it's going to end any day, but fall if we're lucky.
Yeah,
That's my thinking.
and I asked him to just give us kind of